Hello again, fellow audiophiles. I am Wave Theory, and today we are looking at PSVane Horizon tubes. This is the Horizon series, I believe is a new series from PSVane, and it is chock full of different models. They very graciously sent me a matched quad of 12AU7, a matched quad of EL84, and a matched pair of 6SN7, or CV181AT, as their naming goes, but they are 6SN7 tubes. These tubes were sent to me directly from PSVane. They have made no attempt to influence my opinion on these tubes one way or the other. They were very patient with me because it took a while to get this review done with burn-in time and how complicated it is to swap out tubes on tube gear, so I appreciate their patience. The link down below from Amazon where you can buy these tubes will be an affiliate link, so if you like what I have to say about the Horizon tubes and you want to pick them up, please consider using those affiliate links. I will get a small kickback, and I only use affiliate link money to keep the channel running, so please help support the channel that way if you are interested in these. I enjoyed getting to know the Horizon tubes. I found them to be fun to listen to and how they were similar to and different from other tubes that are out there, so please stick around after shameless self-promotion to find out why.
Hello. I'm one of the reasons that Wave Theory can't spend all of his money on audio gear. He wants you to know that your support is vital for keeping the channel running. So if you enjoy Wave Theory's bussin' review riz and no-cap review style and want to encourage him to stay in the basement so I don't have to listen to his dad jokes as much, like the video and subscribe to the channel. You can also send him a donation on PayPal or sign up for the Patreon. Links are in the description. Now on to the review.
All right, one thing we didn't get into in the intro is the pricing, and that's because there are multiple units here, so it takes a moment to talk about pricing. So, the 6SN7 for a pair currently on Amazon is $109. For the EL84, a pair is $50, and for the 12AU7, a pair is $55 US. And I will put affiliate links down below for these, as well as link you to the PSVane store on Amazon so that you can check out all of the models in the Horizon line, because they also have EL34s, KT88s, 12AX7, 12AT7. I mean, there's a bunch, right? They've got most of the tube types covered there with this new series. Now, as I understand it, the Horizon series is like they're kind of new, just like a tick above entry level. Might be PSVane's entry level, because I'm not seeing any cheaper PSVanes listed on Amazon or elsewhere. But they are not entry-level tubes in terms of like the world of vacuum tubes. They're like a step up above like those J&J tubes, which I'm not knocking the J&J tubes. I'm just saying that they're the entry point to vacuum tubery anymore, it seems. So they're a step above those, but you can definitely spend a lot more money on tubes here, even from PSVane. Like PSVane has the Art series, which is not as fleshed out on Amazon anymore, so I don't know if that one's sticking around, but the models that are lingering from the Art series are a little bit more than these. And then there are other options from PSVane up there that also go up in price. There's also like the Apos branded Ray tubes anymore, which are a little bit more expensive than most of these, and I have some of those on hand still that we will get to some comparison work on here in a little bit on these as well. But that's kind of, I think, the target range of pricing here. Is it's not quite true entry level as far as vacuum tubes go. I think it's PSVane's entry level line anymore, and that kind of makes it like a kind of a budget enthusiast to lower mid-tier kind of vacuum tube experience. So okay, let's dive in on the rest of these real quick. Here is the 12AU7 up close and personal here. And the biggest change between this and the Art series that I could tell aesthetically is that the Art series has gold pins here, and the pins on this one, come on camera, you can focus. I believe in you. Maybe I don't anymore. Okay. These are not gold-plated pins or gold pins on the bottom, okay, there. So that is one difference there. Here are the EL84s. I mean, they just look like standard EL84s, but again, like, notice that the pins are not gold there either. And then the 6SN7 has this nice like aluminum band around the base here. This one does have gold plating on the pins right there. But it's, you know, that's the slightly taller form factor here. So this will not fit in like the DAC board of like a Black Ice Audio Aries. I did a review of the Aries, and like this kind of form factor doesn't fit the DAC board on that one, but it will fit the amp and preamp board on that. If this is something, a direction you want to go. So, I mean, fairly standard vacuum tube build and all of that. Let me make a few comments about the sound here. And this is going to be like more general thoughts, again, because we've got multiple models here that I tested. And also, reviewing the sound of vacuum tubes is harder, particularly when you talk about comparing it across different, you know, with other models from other brands and everything. It is more difficult and time consuming to do than many other audio product reviews, because switching out vacuum tubes, like it is, unless you have identical amps or preamps or DACs or whatever that take the vacuum tubes in there, and you've got two of them at the same time so you can rapidly switch between the two, it's really hard to do a quick switch between vacuum tubes because these get hot. You got to turn the unit off, wait for these to cool down so you can grab them, or get an oven mitt. Like literally, I went and snagged an oven mitt out of my kitchen so that I could pull the tube amps faster, or pull the amps out of the tubes. The tubes out of the amps. There we go. I got it. Okay, faster. Than just letting them cool down the whole for a while and all of that. But you really can't do quick switch A/B. To compare these, you got to do more long-term listening. Listening to them for a few days, switch them out with something else, see if you can detect any changes and all of that. So, I mean, this review took a while because of that. All right, test gear real quick here. Primarily these, the 12AU7 and the EL84 were used in my Cayin HA-1Amk2 tube amp, which uses two 12AU7s and two EL84s. They also, the EL84s in particular, got time in my new LTA Z10E, which uses a quad, uses 4 of those EL84s, which is why they sent me 4. There are also 4 12AU7s in the Z10E as well, but they are harder to switch in and out, so I tried these on others. What is the other? Another recent-ish acquisition for me is a Lampezator Baltic 3, which uses a pair of 6SN7 and a pair of 12AU7 on it. So 2 of these, and then of course that pair also got used on the Baltic 3. So we're talking some pretty high-end gear here that I was able to evaluate these on. Downstream of there, like for really serious critical listening, I would use the Focal Utopia, both the OG and the 2022 model, because I also recently did a review of the Focal Utopia 2022 with the Dana cable Lazuli Poem cable on it, and so that got used a lot there as a headphone, and then also my Hi-Fi Mensa Svara got used frequently as the headphone there. So I'm really resolving stuff to tell the differences between these and others. My general takeaway on the Horizon series tubes is they are a really solid, like budget enthusiast / lower mid-tier kind of performer. They are a cleaner, clearer, slightly drier sounding tube than many are out there. You still get the benefits of the vacuum tube sound, like those delicious second order harmonics. Those are in here. Okay, the nice three-dimensionality to spatial presentations, the holography and all of that, those are also in here. And they are like, they do sweeten the sound, particularly in the top end a little bit. Like one thing that I noticed here, even in comparison to some other PSVanes that are a little bit more expensive that we'll talk about here in a little bit, is that these Horizons were a little bit smoother in the treble, a little bit more tonally balanced, a little less bite to them, but they didn't back off the brightness. Like these don't really change tone a whole lot. They are mostly neutral in their perceived frequency response. So they're not really emphasizing or pulling back any bit of the frequency range that I can tell. But in the treble in particular, they seem nice and smooth and well tonally balanced, and they do a good job of avoiding sibilance, sharp S's and T's, or sounding harsh or fatiguing or anything like that once you get them burned in. Now, PSVanes I have found usually don't need a ton of burn-in time, and I would say these probably got about 24-ish hours of good burn before I started listening to them, but I made sure that each tube got to about a total of 50 hours of burn time. Another reason why tube reviews take a while before I really started doing any serious evaluation on these, okay? But again, neutral, clean, clear, fairly well detailed, nicely holographic, still have those pleasant second order harmonics, very smooth tonality in the treble, not harsh or fatiguing. They are decently resolving, but not like amazingly so. They have decently big soundstage, but not huge or cavernous or anything like that going on either. Okay, but again, one thing that these tubes do from a presentational standpoint, I mentioned this a little bit, is they do lean a little bit dry, okay? I found them to be like a little bit drier than PSVane's Art series, a little bit drier than some of the other PSVanes, drier than the Rays and all of that. Now, not all out dry. They don't sound like dry or chalky or anything like that, but if you're one of those people that you expect tubes to sound like warm and thick, these aren't really that. These are a little bit more neutral and a little bit drier and thinner. So let me explain that a little bit. In audio, we've got these terms like there's a spectrum of wet and dry, right? And actually, we'll go dry on my left and wet on the right here. Sure, why not? So what that describes is like how long decaying tones linger. A very wet sound is going to blend the decaying tone of one sound into the attack of the next sound, okay? So there's a little bit less perceived separation between where one sound ends and the next one, a subsequent sound, begins. A drier sound is the opposite of that. You get a much clearer sense of this sound, the first sound ends, then there's some little bit of space, and then the next sound begins. The attack of the next one hits. There's a little bit more separation in there, like chronologic separation and all of that. Some tubes like lean into the fuller, wetter kind of sound. Some are a little bit drier. These are probably just a little bit drier than average, but not all out full-on dry. Okay, so I mean, that's a lot of the common traits here. Let me get a couple of other tubes that I compared these with and go into a little bit more detail here. All right, a few comparisons here. We'll keep it in the family first, and we'll do a little bit more in-depth comparison between two PSVanes here in the Horizon series and then the Art series. Now, for the Art series, I have these in 12AX7 and also a EL84 as well. And so the comments I'm about to make here are like also when we compare the EL84s, the Horizon versus the Art series too. Okay. What I found here is like I did end up preferring the Art series just a little bit. They are a little bit more expensive. Like I think these are about $75, $76 per pair, whereas these are 50-ish. 55, I think I said, right in that range. So they aren't exactly the same price. The Art series to me is a little bit more resolving and detailed, and just slightly more holographic, but it is a little bit wetter sound because again, the Horizon series just tilts slightly dry. Not objectionably dry for me or for a lot of people, I think, but just slightly dry. I did have a mild preference for the Art series here. And then you also see, of course, the different pin colors there as well. Okay, but like I think the performance difference between these two is appropriate for their price difference also. So I don't think like anyone's getting ripped off or anything here. I think these are appropriately priced relative to each other for what you get sonically. There's really not a whole lot of tonal difference between these two either. Like this one again, just a little bit wetter sound. This one just a little bit drier. This one just a little bit more technically accurate with positional effects, detail, retrieval, etc. but there's not a whole lot of perceived frequency response difference between the Horizon or the Art series to my ear. All right, next one we'll look at here is these Russian-made Mullard branded 12AU7s came with the Baltic 3 that I mentioned earlier there. With the Horizons, these two are about on the same technical level, have basically the same level of detail retrieval, same level of holography, similar soundstage size, etc. The biggest difference between these two is the tone. The Mullards here are warmer and they sound a little bit further away than the PSVanes do. So still within the range of neutral on the sound of the Mullards here, but just they sound a little bit warmer, but then also they're thicker sounding, right? They have a wetter sound compared to the drier sound of the Horizons as well. So again, technically pretty much equal, but the Mullards are going to give you that warmer, thicker, more stereotypical tube sound, if that's what you're after, as compared to the Horizons here. All right. The Ray Select, the APOS branded Ray Select here. I am really learning to love these Rays more and more. They are over 200 a pair, so like we are not talking about similarly priced units anymore. The Rays are just technically a clear step up and have big advantages over the PSVane Horizon. So like if you really are looking for high end, the Ray is the way to go here. Whereas the Horizon is just a good, solid, like budget enthusiast, lower mid-tier kind of thing here. I'm gonna make a new video about the Rays because now that I've heard them on some higher end gear, I have more to say. So that's gonna be coming up in the near future as well. All right. Other things that I tried. So PSVane versus PSVane here. I've got a matched pair of these like globe-shaped 6SN7 SE from PSVane here. These were about I'd have to look up the price. I want to say they were around $130, $140 for a matched pair versus the 109 here. But I will link to these in the description down below as well. There wasn't a clear preference for me between these two. Tonal differences showed up. I thought the globes are also a little bit V-shaped, perceptually V-shaped as compared to these. A little bit like they were warmer and fuller again. I think they had just a little bit more bass energy here in the globe-shaped ones. And a little bit more perceived treble presence. I don't think there was actually more treble energy to them than the Horizons had. But it came across that way because the treble was not as smooth or as tonally balanced as the Horizons. So I really thought that there was more sibilance and sharpness coming through on these globe-shaped ones than there were on the Horizons. So a true strength of the Horizon series, I want to say here, is that comes out is just like this. The treble is very tonally smooth. So even though it is more neutral in tone, a little bit drier in presentation, the treble tonality and smoothness is a real strength of the Horizon series here, which is particularly impressive for the price. Now, if you are looking to warm and thicken the sound, I did not have a pair of these. This is the Ray 6SN7 Select, which if you get a match pair of these, I think is going to be pretty close in price to the Horizons here. Maybe just a little bit more, but not like astronomically so. And these do have the warmer, thicker tonal presentation than the Horizons do. Now, it's difficult to compare these back and forth because, again, like I don't have a pair of these selects on hand, just the one. But like when I would use my Shit Saga with this, like this clearly had a warmer sound, warmer and thicker sound than like other PSVane branded tubes, including like these guys here. So it's also going to be warmer and thicker than the Horizon is. I think they're probably going to be very close in terms of like detail retrieval and holography and all of that. But if you're looking for that more stereotypical warm, thick tube sound, the Ray is the way you want to go here. But if you want a more neutral, a drier sound, then the Horizon is the way to go. And then we have the it's not in the same league thing. This is the Ray 6SN7 Reserve right here. These are quite expensive. but they also are quite amazing. And again, much like with the 12AU7 Select, because I've gotten some more higher end gear lately, these have really begun to sing there, and so I'm going to have a new video about those in the future. Okay, so the Horizons are solid, but they're not comparing up at this level, but nor should they be expected to, given the price difference. So then, let me wrap this up on the Horizon tubes. They are really solid tubes for their price, okay? So again, I think they are PSVane's entry-level line now. They are priced quite reasonably. They have a neutral tonal balance to them. They have a little bit drier presentation. They still have the nice like second order harmonic distortion that tubes are known and loved for, so that is present. They are nicely three-dimensional and holographic tubes for their price, and then one of their true sonic strengths is that they have very even and smooth treble tonality. They rarely sound harsh or sharp or anything of that nature, to a degree that's even less so than some more expensive models. So if you have some like entry-level or mid-tier tube gear out there, like a lot of stuff from X-Duo, a Bottlehead Crack, I think, uses 12AU7 and 6S. No, it doesn't use 6SN7, but 12AU7 in it. Like Cayin HA-1Amk2 is right at $1,000 and all of that. So if you have like more entry-level and mid-tier kind of tube gear, and it's just a little too wet and sloppy for you, then I think these Horizon tubes will help clean up that sound and give you a slightly drier presentation, control the treble a little bit more, but still give you pretty good holography and detail retrieval and a neutral overall tonality and frequency response. All right, I am Wave Theory. This has been my review of the PSVane Horizon series tubes. Please remember to like, subscribe, comment. Check out my PayPal and my Patreon, and generally do those things that you do to support YouTube channels. And as always, enjoy the music.